Organissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today at www.organissima.com. Organissima, New York. Your beauty is our duty.
Folks, welcome back to the iHealth channel, the FinFab channel, the Sales War channel, all the channels actually today. We're going to discuss a topic, and we have a guest that's going to cover a lot of angles with us, and it's going to stay again with health, wellness, and just immune and nutrition, and we're going to touch on all that, and also business inspiration, motivation. So with me today, I have the founder of Ethan himself, Ethan Hirshberg, and he is actually the founder of this company that actually changes maybe lives and gives you a whole opportunity for boosting your immune system. And so that's just the small version of it. I think there's more to the story. And again, the person that's going to give us that is Ethan himself. So Ethan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Hisham. Or should I say Hurricane H?
Hurricane H, baby. It doesn't matter to me. It's still me. It's one person.
Cool.
It's me, myself, and I.
Love it.
So
Happy to be here.
Yeah, listen. I mean, I know we booked this a minute ago. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a minute, but time flies when you're having fun. I mean, it's been a couple of months, but it's great. I mean, it's a new year. And this whole week and the last 2 weeks, literally, it's all about new you, changing, getting better, healthier, wellness. And I think your show today is going to help us in that direction, because you are having something in the marketplace that can make that change, that can help people live better, have a better energy, and boosting the immune system. I mean, one of the things that we always think about in health is like immune system. I mean, you get disease, you get this, you get that. If your immune system is not in the right place, that's affecting you, right? So that's a big thing. So nutrition and having the right, I guess, supplements and so on and so forth, or even drinks, whatever it is that you use, is important in terms of nutrition. But before we get into all the details, you wanted to say, then go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, you mentioned January, we've been at this 5 years now. January is always our biggest selling month. And that's a good thing, because it's like people are trying new stuff. They're trying to create new routines. But, the flip side of that is it's hard to get something that lasts the whole year. And I think people experience it, whether they're in the gym or trying out a new diet. But it's a great time to try new products and to try to make improvements on whatever you're doing, whether you're looking for you mentioned our stuff. It's we do energy. So a lot of times we're a healthier upgrade from someone who's drinking 5-hour energy or Monster Energy. They want something a little bit better they can work into their routine. So yeah, January is a funny time in the supplement world. It's definitely a time to work on new stuff, I think.
Ethan, it's a complementary thing to all the gyms and all the fitness world and wellness, motivation and resolutions, because that's really what happens. You're right. I mean, it's kind of weird, but everybody has that reset button, and we make all the commitments to our health and well-being, and people go about it different ways. But you're right. I mean, you said it from your experience in the business world and launching your line. You've seen that spike every January, and I'm sure there's more to it, but that's typically the point. But I have to say, your concept is, and you mentioned a couple of big words, Monster and the 5-hour energy drinks, and everybody's familiar with those. They've been around and they're caffeine, strong, and there's a few other ones that are worldwide, blasting. And you are the newcomer, but you have a different formula. You're different than them. Well, not newcomer. 5 years is 5 years, and we'll talk about that. But let's talk
newcomer, definitely newcomer. Yeah.
Listen, it doesn't matter, right? You got the secret magic formula. It's over. You take over, right? And that's really people are always looking for a change, looking for something different, something healthier, maybe. And of course, after a while, I mean, people do realize what some products are and how they are and what they do to them and their bodies. So maybe that's not always, an option. That is maybe a different option is always something good to have. But let's talk about Ethan and Ethan's story and how Ethan's was conceived. I mean, it is amazing. And this part of it, we'll spend some time on just the entrepreneurial piece, on the just the idea, the vision, and why. And that's important, because every product, every company, every brand name out there has a story. And when you go back to the story, you're like, wow, it's amazing how it started. Now, of course, as it evolves, things change, and it just that's how life goes. But the initial story is important. But you have that, and I can see that you are young and you're very energetic, and it's just no pun intended. I know you just got a blast there, but it is. But the idea is that you've created this 5 years ago, and I can just imagine this is something that you probably thought about a way back, and you worked your magic there. And it's not always easy. A lot of people think that, okay, I want to do my own thing, I want to have my own company, and when you're at an earlier age, I would say it's a little difficult because the finances may not be there. You're still not sure. You haven't had experiences, so you've covered all that stuff, and I admire that, because that is important. And again, for our young folks here, and, it doesn't matter what age, but anyone that's willing and has an idea and has something that they believe in, there's always opportunity. And you are a perfect example of someone that did that and put their stuff in the marketplace and still pushing it out there. And that's big. So let's talk about Ethan's story. Where did it start, and how did it come out?
Well, you covered a lot of ground there, but well, I mean, first, let me just say, like, I think that when I do talk about the business and, like, founding a business and all of that, it's like, it always seems like this massive mountain to climb. And if you think of it like that, then it's going to be too big to climb. And it would have been for me too, except, I think if you listen to a lot of people who start businesses, even yourself, right? It's like, whatever, if you're starting something or trying to do something, it can only ever be achieved one step at a time. And, like, that sounds obvious, but in my story, it really was truly like a one single little step at a time. Right. Like, so, I think there's like with every brand, there's like the podcast version of the events. And then there's like the real, this is really how it happened. And I think, like, in truth, the way I got into this was basically stumbled ass backwards into it. But what I did have was kind of like, I was able to recognize when I had an idea, bounce it off people, get feedback, go to the next step, and kind of like continue iterating like that. So it was like, I said 5 years. We've really only been, like, by any measure, commercially successful for maybe the last, like, 2.5 or 3. So those first 2 years was like, it was basically, I was drinking apple cider vinegar. Like, I was getting into, like, the health beverage world. I was working for a health beverage company, and I was taking, like, a shot of apple cider vinegar. I don't know if you've heard of that trend. Like, it was really hot. Like, okay, yeah.
Some people still do that. I mean, it's good for your metabolism and your stomach, and there's so many things, it applies today. I mean, if the right apple cider is cider, it's not.
No, I'm a total believer in it, but I just, like, it's funny because now we're, like, here, but it all started with apple cider vinegar. So I was just like, I was taking that, and I had this product idea, which was like, because I was reading all the health blogs about it and stuff, and it was like, oh, well, I should just try making a beverage. I was working for a beverage company. It was a coconut water company, so I was in that mind space. But try making a beverage with apple cider vinegar. People would love it. There's all these people, they take shots of apple cider vinegar. It, like, burns on the way down. It tastes bad. It, like, hurts their teeth, whatever. So that was the very first product idea I had. And, like, I could walk through every single tiny little step, but from that point all the way to where we are now, it's just been like, first it was check with my friend who's a nutritionist to see if it's legit, and then how much apple cider vinegar do I have to have in a product? And then I tried to make a drink, like a full-size apple cider vinegar beverage, and nobody was buying it. And so
that's a lot, like, that's something that you break down for a whole week. So
yeah, exactly. And so then I kind of went back to the drawing board, like in the kitchen, and, like, I started working on the smaller version, and that was how we stumbled into shots. So then I started making, like, the apple cider vinegar shots, which actually we still make today. We still have a couple flavors of it. It's like, it's not our most popular product, but
for the ones that have that taste, that they can enjoy that taste. Yeah.
And they were like, people getting into it. We started, like, selling it online. Then we got into Whole Foods and kind of, like, got that rolling, started building a brand. And I mean, if you look up our brand, like, the early packaging was so ugly, like I was doing it myself and it just like, it looks terrible. But again, it was just like this sort of like one thing at a time, and then getting all the feedback, always really listening. Like even still at this stage, like I read every Amazon review, because like you got to know what people are, thinking about your product, and that's what helps you continue to innovate until you have something. So, flash forward, I guess maybe call it like 2.5 years, we launched our energy shot line, which I mentioned. And that's really sort of like what I would say kind of, if to what extent we've taken off, like that was really the kind of growth moment. Cause we were like, we had already started making the shots, and then, we addressed this big need, which is healthy energy. And people like, everyone's looking for energy all the time everywhere, but they know a lot of times it comes at a cost, right? Like it's bad for you. It's bad for your heart, blood pressure, whatever. And so that was a little bit of like snapped into place. And we had these like clean energy shots. They're all organic, plant-based, non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free. You can rattle them all off. So
either let's talk about it, but I do want to still go back a little bit further. Because the concept itself, I mean, I know you were working for, you stated you were working for a beverage company, and obviously, well, I can do this too. And, you had your own tendencies to, kind of use something that is healthy for you, or at least that was the trend and you wanted that. Yep. But then why can I not have something like this? But not everybody thinks that way. I mean, everybody's drinking stuff every day, but they're not thinking like, I'm going to have my own beverage company. I'm going to just produce my own product. I mean, when you think about it, if that was the case, I mean, we'll just have too many, right? But not everybody in any industry, right? It doesn't work that way. Like there are certain people somehow that they come up with the stuff that is righteous, right? That the real thing. I mean, a different brand, something new. But it takes a lot of guts, it takes a lot of, risk, and it takes a lot of, commitment. This is not something that you do, but also it takes a lot of bravery just by default. But then also your vision. I mean, this is something that did you plan it as you were working in the actual beverage industry, or something or you didn't like to work for other people, you wanted your own company? I mean, there's more questions to that. How did it all come up?
Well, I think to your point, like not everybody wants that life, right? Like it's, all the cliches about it are true. It's stressful, particularly in the early days, like on the money side, you don't know where you're going to, like you're leaving your health insurance and your like benefits behind, right? So like all that stuff is scary, which is why I personally was glad that I like got started kind of younger. I feel like I didn't have kids or anything like that. So, but I would actually argue that like, most people have had like an idea at some point of where you're like, why don't we have this? It could be something really small, or like, why don't people have ideas all the time, right? And I think a lot of people think like, if this was a good idea, somebody else would have thought of it. And that is not necessarily true, and like, I think understanding that of like, if you have a good idea, maybe somebody else has thought of it, but they haven't executed it. There's like,
bingo.
And so, so it's always about taking that first step, and like trying to figure out why. Like I have ideas all the time, not that I have like time for it, but I have ideas and I'm like, why hasn't anyone done that? And then I'm like, go down a rabbit hole of trying to figure out why. Is there like some legal difficulty with it, et cetera? So anyway, that's one thing I would say to anyone with an idea. But yeah, I think as far as starting a business, like it is a leap, and one thing that's nice is like, I always tell people that I'm talking to that have like a beverage or a food product idea. It's like, it's something that you can kind of do on the side, like until if people are into it or not. Like your idea might honestly be terrible. Like, and I would say my first idea of an apple cider vinegar drink, it wasn't the best idea, and I could have stopped there, but then I just kept kind of like making changes to it. And that, I know the question you're getting at, but I would just say like, that's the most important part, is like obviously starting, but then continuing to change. Cause your first idea is not going to be like, it's not going to set the world on fire. It's going to take 5,000 different tiny little changes to it until it's ready.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because I think that's powerful for our audiences. Anyone at any given time, we have ideas, and that's true. That's fact. We all think, or we see something, it's like, oh, could be done this way. It could be, we all have opinions and ideas, right? And maybe they trigger to something, but not everybody takes those ideas and executes, as you said, or takes them on the road, right? And is willing to put their money, their heart, their time, their sweat into it, because they think it's not going to work. And it starts with believing first. You got to believe in something, and why not? What's the worst that can happen, right? And that's important to actually establish as anyone. And by the way, that's a trait I think that's shared by everyone who's ever, dreamt of a business and started a business. They all had doubts. They all had very, very difficult times in the initial stages of the businesses. I mean, if you watch the McDonald's story, right, the movie on Netflix, the brothers, when they started, I mean, the things that they had to go, and it shows you like the phases before they got that system. And even then, I mean, it turned out to be a whole different story after that. But we're talking about just the roots of it. And even him, when he took over the whole thing, it still evolved into multiple things, and he had to figure out different ways when he was selling stuff. But it's the same thing. That's just an example that's probably everybody can relate to, because they can watch the actual Netflix, movie there. But the idea is that doesn't matter what business you're in, I can relate to it myself. I've had multiple opportunities in different businesses, and I'm still kind of trying different ones. I've lost some, I've made good money in some, I'm still working. But you know what? You dabble. It's never going to be a dull moment. It's not going to be easy. But folks, if you're out there listening, watching, you have nothing to lose. Yes, you're gonna lose some stuff, but that's not losing. You are gonna learn from whatever it is, and so it's not losing. It's gonna be maybe an expensive experience, expensive education, or maybe it's gonna have, you don't know. But the way to do it is, you said it, the packaging, the start, the first 2 years, and just planning and getting ready and starting. The key word is start. If you don't start, that's gonna happen. If you don't believe that you can even have a shot at it, then you're already inhibiting yourself from even doing something. And you're right. If you think about everybody else, then you're not going to do it. Everybody's, worried about what the others think. Just start, and then you'll be ahead again. Like, again, talking with you and I, we're talking about radio and stuff. Radio's all over the world. What gives? I'm not the newbie. I have nothing to do with media, and I started this. And you know what? It wasn't about the radio concept. It was the messaging, is the mission that I wanted to deliver, right? And that's how it started. So the radio is just the platform, is just a system. The podcast is just a way to communicate, the resources such as yourself and what's available out there, and just bringing people closer to the industries and things like that. But it's just the idea. But how you go about it, that's a whole different, game. And you have to upgrade as you go. And you're gonna make mistakes. And maybe you'll think about one way, you go left, and then you wind up in, Coca-Cola, started with, a different type of beverage, and now a different type of beverage.
It's like every business that you look at, it's actually pretty incredible once you see it through this lens. Like almost every business you look at was something completely different in the beginning. And I mean, like, it could be like not even the same industry, right? Like, and things just like over time, that's like, good businesses are malleable, and they like are fluid, right? And they respond to any number of different external factors. And so, but yeah, like, I think one thing that was really big for me, like you said, you have nothing to lose. Like, I was always really hesitant to like put my face out there, because I felt like if it failed, then people would know that I had failed, and I think, I don't know exactly when it happened, but there was just like some time where I was just like stopped caring. And, obviously there's financial risk too, but if you're able to like raise any investor money, things like that can de-risk some of that side of it. But once that is like somewhat taken care of, then it's just like your time and your dignity, and like those things, it's like, yeah.
But that's let's talk about that, because, I think that's one of the biggest fears, is that, right? Because the money, to your point, you can figure out. You can always work and compensate and whatever. But you don't want to lose face. Like, people, what are people going to think about me, right? What do people think right now? Am I? What the hell happened to him? Oh my God, he didn't make it. Oh, she didn't make it. It was a fiasco. It was this. It was that. The minute you start thinking about that's negativity, crawling up. You don't want that. And by the way, you got to push that out. So if someone out there has any doubts, take those doubts, dump them somewhere deep, in some sort of a grave or whatever, dig in deeper somewhere, throw them in the ocean, get them out of your system, because you know what? Those are not the ones that are going to help you. And you know what's the worst that can happen? It didn't work out. Guess what? You try again, try something different, and you're going to be there. Here's the difference. When someone tells me that, if they tell me to my face, I'm like, At least I'm doing something. What are you doing?
Totally. Well, it's the man. It's the man in the arena, right? Like I think it's a Roosevelt quote or something. It's like it's all about being in the arena, and like anybody who's not in the arena, it's really not important. Like what they have to say about you. If you're in the arena and you fail, at least you're in there. You know.
Well, exactly. You're in the fight. I mean, that people. It's easy when you see it from the outside. Like, okay, well, I could have done it this way. Well, you're not doing it though. Try it. You know what? I challenge everybody. If someone wants to challenge anything, it's very simple. You don't like what I'm doing, just do better. I would encourage you. I would love to actually see you succeed. That's the other attitude, right? I'm not worried about it. If there's 10 people that want to do this and do more and better, good luck, man. I can even give you tips. Just make it happen. We need more people. We need more opportunities. We need people to actually be more of that mindset. But unfortunately, that's not the case. People are easier, to follow or to criticize than actually do. And that's a big problem. But and I hope these types of, and the reason we're talking about this is the first part of the discussion, but it is important at least to get people motivated, inspired, or at least give them, take some of those, I guess, veils that may exist, like in some perceptions about this. You want to succeed, have an idea, pursue it. It's not going to go to waste. The worst part of it is you will learn from it, and maybe you'll think about, maybe now I know what I need to do. Now I know what needs the next step. Now I know where not to do. So it changes the dynamics for you, and that's it. And you keep going. And probably you'll think, well, like, I love what you said. My packaging I used to do with you got to start somewhere. Yeah. Not everybody has the millions to start investing in a manufacturing place, and would love to have everything automated. Some people tell me like, well, you could do this with your shows and you can do this stuff. I was like, I would love to. I know I can do a lot more. I can do everything. I can just be like running like CNN, but I can't because I need their money. Sponsor some stuff. You're welcome to sponsor my shows, and we can do more. And there's a lot of ideas here, but that's the point, right? So same concept. You want something, put your money. Help. If that's the credit you're going to give me, let's do more than that. Let's make it work. But that's the thing. In business, it is going to be risky, and that's the other thing. Even the IRS, by default, they allow you a couple of years they know that you're going to be on the negative. Just to know that's tradition, business. They know that the first 2 years is just going to be expenses, and you're allowed this, and it's a loss. Very few businesses make it year one or year two. I mean, again, we're talking about Coca-Cola just as an example. We all know the story. 25 bottles sold in the first year. I mean, talking about a fiasco, that would have been the disaster of anybody. Like, I didn't sell anything the whole year. I'm out of here. I'm going to give up. But they didn't. Yeah. And again, it's just an example. We're talking in the beverage world right now, but that's one of them. And many Snapple started, with their own, line. And, you had Red Bull in the beginning when it started. It was just, this new energy Monster. Now we have muscle trucks all over the place. I mean, totally. It's and that's the thing. It evolves, whether you're in the skincare, cosmetic. I mean, I work that too, because my wife and I, we have that. And listen, I've been to expos where there's some some of the biggest, places, in the world and companies in the world. They go to these expos and you look at them. I mean, they have tremendous stuff. You're the small guy and you look at those guys but I know that they started a while ago. They had to go through their stages, but you know what? Didn't stop them. And they moved and they moved and they moved. They moved left. They moved right. They moved up. They backed up sometimes. They switched things. And if you listen to all the big guys out there, designers and so on and so forth, they all had their hurdles and obstacles, but yet they made it. So again, the message today really for me and myself is that you have an idea, you pursue it, you can do it. Don't worry about the rest of the world. Just focus on the prize, which is the success, regardless of what people think. And what you said earlier about face, what's the worst case? People are going to tell you, you can always say, well, I tried, And by the way, the most people that try, if you try enough, eventually you're going to do. But if you don't try, you never know. If you didn't try, you were not in it to start, then therefore you can't even know if you had an opportunity to make it or not. But you got to try, you got to start somewhere. And you did that. And I love that, man. I encourage everyone, man, that has an idea. And I love this because this is the part where we want to motivate people. We want to encourage you. We want you actually to succeed. And you know what? Everybody has that opportunity. But not everybody takes the shot, right? And that's the difference.
Yeah. And now after doing this, I'm like, I think it's such a humbling experience, right? And now I just root for everybody even more because I know what they're going through, whether it's food or beverage or even if it's a competitor, someone launches a similar product. I just have a lot of respect and I hope for the best for them because I know people who have been through it, they're always going to root for you, you know, because they know what it's like to be in the trenches with something that you're just trying to get going because you like believe in the product or believe in a mission or just want to create something or whatever. The reason doesn't even really matter. Even if you just want to make money, it's like you're still in there like doing the dirty work. So I think it's
you're in the trenches. That's, you know, again, if you're not in if you never, it's a very easy concept. If you never, I've been in martial arts all my life, and it's very easy to watch, like, you know, two fighters punching each other. But have you ever gotten punched and felt that pain? Until you actually, you know, get used to that pain in training, then that's the thing. So when you train, you're actually going to get hit. And that's the only way for you to learn, right? That's the example. But that's life too. If you're not in the trenches, if you're not feeling the pain, if you're not going through it, you're not going to know anything about it. And you're going to be able to like, oh, that's easy. I can do this. Well, please get in. Come on in. Show us what you got. And that's important. But again, we're not talking about that concept. We're just talking about that everybody out there know that if you are starting something, that you have a shot, you can make it. You have a better shot than someone who doesn't. And you know what? Just don't give up on yourself. Believe, continue. Is it going to be easy? Probably not. Maybe there are ways to make it easier, but you'll do that, right? So enough of that. I think we've motivated people right now when we shared that. But thank you, and I congratulate you for the work you've done. Like I love what you said. Only 2.5 years to 3 years where you started seeing the success, but that's okay. You started success day one because the success was to start and to make it happen, and you did it. And now it's just the next level. And actually, I admire people that succeed. Please, the more the merrier for you, man. You know, God bless, and let's make it, you know, a giant. At least one day I'll be like, I had the pleasure to interview him, you know, and had a talk show. Yeah. That would be cool, man. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, man. I admire that, and you know, it's all good. I hope that the whole world wants everybody to succeed. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But if we all have that attitude that we want everybody to succeed, no matter what, you said it, competitors, good. Yeah. Actually, if they succeed, they give me a good chance to get motivated to do more. So competition is good, right? It's important. So now let's talk about, you got there, you started. Now what? That was difficult. But the idea behind the beverage itself. What was the driver behind it specifically? I mean, you start with the apple cider vinegar type of thing.
Yeah. So the idea, the only idea of that was, can I make apple cider vinegar taste good? Like that was the idea.
I love that.
It's really tough to drink, you know? And so like, that was I understood that a lot of other people were taking a shot of it every day. And can I make a product that will people want to buy a product that makes their daily consumption of apple cider vinegar taste better and easier? That was the only idea. And like, you know, that was an okay idea. It was enough to get going. We found some people, but it was really just like hardcore health people, you know? So it was kind of like a smaller niche or smaller audience.
It is. I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, there's a whole world out there that actually believes in that. But if you make it easier, which we did now, it changes the whole dynamic. But
I should have launched gummies. Apparently, that's what really. But
that's the next. That's what they do. I think they have those too.
No, it's like, I mean, the gummy market's massive, but I have my problems with that too, because I think the nutrition is suspect in the gummy form. But yeah, so that was the idea, and so like that was enough. You know, we started to find our customers, and they were like health, foodie people, on the go, active. They take apple cider vinegar, and like, you know, we mixed ours with like, it had ginger juice and turmeric and other good stuff in there. So it was like a wellness shot. And so that was how we got going. We got a little bit of traction, started selling in Whole Foods. That was like a big one for us at the time. And then basically, like, you know, the sales were doing okay on those. I mean, I launched like 6 of them and then cut 3 of them. You know, it was up and down, like trying to find the right products. But we still have the first 2 shots apple cider vinegar shots that I launched are still in Whole Foods. So, you know, people buy them. But then from that point, it was time to start innovating. And like, I was listening to the customers. And one thing I heard for like 3 straight years was we'd be demoing, and they'd look at our apple cider vinegar shots and say like, so is this an energy shot? And I'd be like, no, it's a wellness shot. It's not for that, you know, but I would hear that over and over and over and over again, because people are used to like seeing a shot and having it be for energy. And so I was like, all right, let's just make an energy shot, you know? And then, like as a line extension, you know, and then we got really, like, by this point I had a little team and we got really in the weeds on like researching 5-hour energy and like, you know, Googling it and like seeing what people were putting on the blogs and tweeting about it. Like, you know, oh, this makes me feel bad, like it makes me crash or whatever, you know, like there's a lot out there in the world. And so we try to start addressing that, you know, like basically making like 5-hour energy is a unique one because it's like 95% of the energy shot market. It's like the whole thing, you know? And so we figured if we make one, we're already like this kind of like health and wellness brand. So if we make an energy shot that's better for you than what's out there, some people are going to want that. And that was what we did. So it was like, you know, the caffeine source, the vitamins, try to make it taste better. Like we use real fruit juice. Ours are in glass bottles. Just like every single thing that, like, again, on Amazon, people are complaining about, we just try to like make that better, you know? And yeah.
Well, Ethan, so thank you for breaking that up. But that there's a lot of components that you just covered right now. I mean, the idea, first of all, you started with the idea and you made that happen. And it's still out there because, to your point, there is a market for it. It's just that is not the largest, you know, population that's going to be, oh, this is cool stuff. If it has sugar and sodium, probably that's what it is. But
yeah,
but it's bitter and it's kind of like very, just vinegary. It's kind of like, it's not really the best shot, but at least that's how people are. But it is medically speaking, nutrition wise. I mean, that is a big, piece, and a lot of people actually tradition, even in some Eastern and some holistic stuff. It is very common and popular, but you made that and then you started updating or at least tweaking based on the customer's feedback. And that's important. Yeah. You were listening. You were not just like, oh, this is my formula. Who the hell? It's one thing to talk about, the motivation part about it, but the other thing is like, what do people really want? And you brought that value to them. You wanted something that is wellness based, health way, happening. It's got a good benefit. It's got, the nutrition. Like, I love what you said about, I'm not sure about the nutrition facts when it's on gummies, because to your point, people are going to look at now more than ever. People are looking at the labels. They're looking at the content. They're looking at the ingredients. They're looking, to your point. I love what you said. Is it glass? Is it plastic? Is it, just caffeine? And a lot of people have this thing, you can't have too much caffeine. It's to give you jitters, this, that, the other. So you've looked at everything that may be a problematic, concept, and you removed that and you made something that is literally meeting those expectations, which increases your shot. Literally, I mean, again, no pun intended, in the marketplace for the product. Yeah. So,
and I used to the feedback is everything, like that's how you make a good product. And you can try to convince people all day long, but if they don't like it, they don't like it, and they're not going to buy it next time. And so ultimately they're the ones who decide. But I used to get like, offended when people would like say that, they'd say this product tastes like crap or whatever. And it like really hurt at first, and then over time you start to just be like, okay, like that's real feedback for me. Someone doesn't like the way it tastes. Like, I used to be like, well, it's apple cider vinegar, so of course it doesn't taste good, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm like, all right, maybe we need to like, work on the formula or whatever. And so like, I mean, the energy shots, when we launched them, they really, like, the first formula we had that we put out there was really not very good. Like, it's got a lot of caffeine in a tiny bottle, and people were like, not for me, And so we just kept working on it. And like, I was just listening, it's too bitter or whatever. So I found this like organic bitter masker. We like started to add that in, and then we started adding just like either more fruit juice or whatever, just started like pressing all the levers, mostly about flavor, but then it's even about like effect. Like some people who are big energy shot people, they were like, or energy drink people, they're like, this doesn't do enough for me. So we launched an extra strength with more caffeine, so it's like, it's all about like just listening and responding and like not letting it hurt your feelings. Right. Because they're just giving you like, they're telling you what to do basically.
Right. But you also gave options, so not everybody wants the same. I mean, let's talk coffee, right? You go to a place, I mean, there's Americano, there's double espresso, there's espresso, there is, there's different one, there's espresso shot, there's macchiato, there's cappuccino. I mean, but everything is a little different, and it gives you a little bit of level. In the case of, to your point, like the energy drinks, right? we know like the big guys, right? They've been around, but it's all again caffeine, and it gives you that nice spark, and you get, oh my God, for like an hour, you're like, flying all over the roof. But then again, it shuts down. And we've heard those stories too. And again, you've taken that feedback and applied it appropriately, and then made different options. So if someone wants really the kick, get the maximum strength. You want something that is, moderate, you can get, and that's also stuff. It's like, you like salsa, I mean, you have hot, medium, extra hot, whatever. You got different levels, flavors, and that's good. So everybody's got their own little, but that's it. You're meeting the market needs and the customer's demand, and that's actually good sales, strategy, good business strategy. Because
as long as it fits within what you're trying to do, like you don't want to become something that you're not or whatever, but like as long as it fits within you, kind of like your overall mission and like what you're trying to achieve, then it's great to respond to customers, and also at the same time knowing you're never going to make everybody happy. So like
that's a big one. I mean, and you're right. I mean, there's always going to be someone that's not going to be. Some people just criticize because that's the way it is, and that's okay. So listen, and by the way, I appreciate those, because sometimes they give you that threshold. This is that you have to establish that bottom line. It's happening. It will happen. I'm not worried. But if I can actually reduce that, maybe by improving more, whatever, but you'll take that feedback anyways, and you apply it as you can see fit. And that's the other thing. I love what you said, is that you've tried. It's still within your realm. It's still within the range of beverages that you want. You're not changing. Mm-hmm. And by the way, maybe 5 years from now, you will expand on something. That's the thing. Like, it's how it works. You start with one thing, and then you go to something else. I mean, we started with in the skincare and cosmetic. We started in one line of products, and then we expanded into different things, and we're going crazy now. So, but that's it works the same way, and I love that, and I admire that, because that's the way you do it. You have to expand. You have to look at things, open new doors, and you never know. One product can trigger clientele that's going to be actually coming into this product line, and then they have this too. I want to test that out. And but also, you mentioned something big. You said you're in Whole Foods. That is not a picnic. That's not easy. I mean, for people that are watching, listening, you're not just going to make it into their shelves that that easy. You have to have the right. They go through scrutiny, and that's also a big deal. But that wasn't easy. And I know, as you were trying to launch and finding, I guess, a delivery, a distribution channel type of concept. That's always hard. I mean, do I just go door to door? Do I go to the gyms? Do I go this? I'm sure you had to go through all that concept. Yeah. And all of the above is okay, but it's getting there. And that's a challenge for every business person. You're the lead, and it comes up to you. You make decisions, and you have your team, and you have to talk about, these things, and you're going to find the bumps. And so how was that experience, getting into the marketplace?
Yeah. Right. Cause I mean, I think, certainly in like packaged goods, there's like the sale, but then you got to move the stuff, and not every, like if you sell software, you don't have to physically move it, right? Like, but in this case, it's all about distribution. And so like, that was something that I didn't understand necessarily. Like, I thought the retailers were the end, like, that's the goal, but really your customer, like my customer, is actually the distributors. So navigating that was a whole learning process. And now, I mean, Whole Foods was our first one, but now we're in CVS, we're in Walgreens, like we're with like some of the big boys, and those are immensely complicated customers to work with. But again, like I think if I had started and thought about what I had to do to get into CVS, it would have felt like too much, but it was just one like level at a time, right? And so Whole Foods helped get us into the next place, which helped us get into the next place, which now we're in some of those. And there's still ones that are bigger than them that I want to do business with too.
Costco?
But God, Costco is like the golden ticket, I swear.
I can see it happening. It's just timing. You're already doing the work, and you keep the quality work. But I love what you said about that, because you're right. If you start thinking, I mean, it's one thing to have the vision. I know you see yourself in Costco, and I know you see yourself all over the world. But at the same time, you have to crawl and then walk, and then, so on and so forth. And you've done that too. And that's important to emphasize for anybody watching and listening. It is not sweet. It's not easy just to, I want to be everywhere, but you can't be everywhere until you start somewhere. Right. And it's hard, but you have to establish your base. You establish, where you're the baseline, right? People start recognizing your brand. That's the other thing. I mean, brand recognition is big, and takes money, it takes time to actually have everybody know that you have this line. I mean, these guys put a lot of advertising eventually, and then they become sponsors of all these major events. And they donated a lot of that stuff to just to be in the marketplace, right? So it takes a whole different strategy, and there's so many ways to do this. But I love that the concept that you've been able to establish this, and in a short time frame too. So again, congratulations to you, man. It's hats off, baby.
Appreciate it.
That's good stuff. So now let's talk about the different options that you have and the types of nutrients or nutritional stuff that you actually add. And I know we talked about some of the power stuff, and we talked literally about the immune. I know you showed me some stuff about immune boost. So let's talk about all different varieties that you have.
Yeah. So we, as of right now, like we talked about, it's going to change. It could change into many different things, but right now we offer detox, immunity, and energy. Like those are our three functions. I want to do a sleep and a calm and whatever else, but like that's those are
three powerful ones. Detox, and we need to talk about that. And immune, you said, right?
Yep.
And
immune and then energy. Yeah. And so we have like basically, we have a nutritionist on our staff that helps us design all the formulas, so we know that we're actually like putting the right amount of vitamin C or vitamin D or vitamin B or caffeine or apple cider vinegar, whatever the product calls for, that we have an effective blend that's in there. Because in the end, like I've always felt like, flavor is obviously really important, but the whole point of these things is that they're going to do something for you. Like people spend $4 at Whole Foods on a shot, little 2-ounce shot. Like it better do the job, Yep, and so we're all about like efficacious ingredients. So yeah, I mean, I could walk you through all the way through, but basically what I would say is like, I've said this on a few podcasts, like, I think it's really important that people, especially in the health, nutrition, wellness space, understand that like you can put a lot of stuff on a label that isn't real, like claims or words or whatever. And so you always got to double check who you're buying from, obviously, especially on Amazon. Anybody can sell anything on Amazon. And so, and stick with the companies that have like earned your trust, like I think in food, especially food or beverage, like consumer trust is super important. They're literally putting what you're making inside their body. And so like we take that really seriously and make sure that we're like super well researched. We have white papers and reports on our website and stuff like that for people to read if they want, to make sure that when we say immune, it's not just like like a bag of vitamin C, it's like a real immunity blend that we've researched and put together so that like when you're sick, you take this and it's going to help you, so.
Well, I love that. And that's important because to your point, the quality of what you deliver, it changes the dynamics. And there's a lot of stuff out there and a lot of diluted things. I mean, and by the way, you see that in all different aspects. I mean, I use the same line in our own skincare stuff because not all products are made the same or equal, right? And it depends on what percentage you put in. Some people go, with light stuff and they charge the same value, and therefore, like for profitability, and it's always good. And in business, obviously, profitability is a key, but it has to be matching the quality, because quality at the end of the day is the most important piece. The outcome of what that quality is going to give these people, if they see the value, then that's the end of it, and you become the brand that people will go to. But I love what you said also about having the right staff on board to actually measure all these things and give you the right formulas. And it is an ineffectiveness too, because you're not just giving a shot, I'm going to get you, a boost, but there's nothing in there. Just like, sugar rush, right? And by the way, we can talk a whole thing about sugar, but you said three things. I mean, you thought, the energy shot we get. I mean, you want something to get you going and get you that, a nice kick. And I think you have that. And I'm hoping, and I think that for a fact that this is not the jitter piece. This is more like a real energy where you get, a nice little, I feel alive. I feel, the vitality.
It's clean.
Like that. Exactly. Because you have those other things that can get you that shot for a minute, but then like, oh, what the hell just happened? You crash, right? You don't want to crash.
I just want to pause you really quick.
Yeah, please.
I don't want to interrupt you, but
no, go for it.
That right there is like, that's the part about our product that has made it successful. Is energy is usually just like a ton of caffeine and sugar, like an energy drink, right? But like we found this amazing energy blend. Yeah. And we worked on it I worked on it for like a year, and I personally tried every energy blend and energy ingredient that is out there. Like you cannot find one that I haven't tried. And we put together this blend that's like super balanced and clean. Like there's no crash or headache or jitters after it. And that, because that's what I was reading online that people really didn't like, you know? And so I guess just going back to that, like, you know, I don't know how other companies do it necessarily, but I know that like with ours, like when we had 75 versions of one of our energy shot flavors, and I tried every single one, like a full shot of them, you know, during that process. And so like, I think, you know, you got to know your own products.
Well, no, but I love it. But again, that's the other thing. You are in charge of this. You are the lead. You are the founder, but you also are testing it, you know, making sure it delivers. If it's not good for you, it's not good for the rest. And you're making it happen where it makes sense. But you're also looking at that value, because to your point, you don't want people to get it and just crash out of it. And then that's it. Eventually it's going to not be there. I mean, some people still use it because they want that quick rush, but what's the long-term effect, right? You know, and what's the maybe any adverse reaction to these things and things like that. You have to look at all those things. But again, when you go holistic and you go into the whole food concept and to be like more like organic and natural process, you know, ingredients, as you said, the blends that you have, and I love what you said, is not, you know, artificial stuff. It's natural. You use the real fruit juice and things like that. So it's a concept that is unique in a way, because you want more of that to get the right, you know, outcomes. And so that's as far as the let's say the energy drink. But then now you talked about immune boost, and I love what you said about, you know, you had to find the right blend that is actually going to really do something for your immune system and get a nice kick and get you going, instead of getting just, because one thing about the energy is just to get you going, but the immune system is a defense mechanism. You want to have the body to be able to face things and, you know, be able to actually get through the winter, get through cold, whatever it is, or even prevent that. If your immune is solid, you're not going to get, you know, too much impact. And the last couple of years have been very difficult for all of us. And we all, you know, lived with, you know, the pandemic, and many people who had compromised type of, you know, immunity had been very tragically affected with, you know, the pandemic. And now, how did you manage that? Because I think your stuff could have been, you know, if not, I don't know the results, but you enlighten us today. Tell us, how did that go and benefit people?
Yeah, well, so like one tiny minuscule silver lining of COVID was that people started to be more conscious about their immune systems. So like, it's not, you know, up until COVID, basically the only immune products, really like mass market immune products, were like airborne and emergency. And all that people did was like, they felt a tickle in the back of their throat. They went to CVS and they grabbed emergency, mixed it in their water. And that's all you could do. But now there's been like this huge shift about people thinking about their daily like maintenance of their immune system, you know, which is like a big difference from like only taking something when you get sick to thinking about how do I build and strengthen my immune system so that it's ready to respond when I get sick. And that's been like such a fascinating thing to watch a lot of people shift around with COVID. But the flip side of that is, with increased demand, I mean, there are so many immune products right now. Like, it's one of the highest, like hardest, you know, keywords to bid on Amazon and Google and stuff like that. Like, I saw cheese balls the other day that said they had immune. Like, it's like crazy.
But you know, Ethan, you really hit on the money, because during the pandemic, one of the things that happened is that some of these products were off the shelves. You can even find these vitamins and things. They were doing that. I mean, people, they just swooped them. It was like the locust went through. It's gone. You know, you had nothing. And even when they brought them back, I mean, they were small quantities, smaller bottles, because they didn't have the supply, whatever. And so it was very difficult. And anyone that was able to kind of satisfy the demand at the time, that's it. And I think that was your peak time, right? Just about that time, right? So
yeah, that's definitely where we started.
That's
growing.
The launch.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And I just think, like, you know, going back to what I said, I think immune is one where particularly, like, everybody says their product is immune. So if you're looking for something that, you know, to build, be careful there. But I also just really quickly on the nutrition side, because we're on it, you know, going back to the apple cider vinegar, which is the first product, there's a lot of research that shows like everything comes after your gut. So like taking care of your gut biome and your gut health is like the basis for a strong immune system, good sleep, good energy, good digestion, et cetera. It all comes from your gut. And so it's funny because in a way, like as I've learned more and more about health and nutrition, it all comes back to like the gut. And that was the first product I made, was like a really like gut healthy product, you know? So
It is.
that's my little nutrition plug. Yeah.
Gut health and the link to the brain and this all that. I mean, most people don't recognize that connection, but it is powerful and is big, and a lot of the immune system is actually that's where it thrives, and that's where it's supposed to kick in. And again, research. I think a lot of people did their research more than ever throughout the pandemic, and more people have becoming more like health, and wellness freaks than ever. And people they didn't care before, but then this was like a wake up call. I need to be able to face this thing and be able to, even if I get, hit with this, I should be able to go through it if my immune system. And that was the message across the board. I mean, even the vaccine discussion was always about like, let's boost your immune, although there's a lot of controversy about that, but we're not going there. That's a limited topic discussion, but that's taboo, right? But again, let's be frank. I mean, there is the new variant that's going on in China now, and China is locked down, and there's so many people are concerned about it. We don't know what that looks like. I mean, hopefully this is not a deja vu concept, but at the end of the day, we got to be prepared for the worst and hope for the best, as we say. And you know what? Having the right immune system, having the right nutrition, having the right mindset, having the right workout formulas, and whatever movement that you choose, fitness concept. Again, you just have to be active. You have to be able to maintain and just protect yourself one way or the other. So this is important. Your work is pretty good. I think the dynamic is there. The mission is there because yes, you are producing cool products that can actually give people a little bit more of what they need in their nutrient levels and or nutritional level, and that's important. Now one thing we didn't talk about is the detox formula. So how does that work?
So the detox is the apple cider vinegar product. So the apple cider vinegar shot that I launched originally just said apple cider vinegar shot, and we kind of rebranded it around the detox function because again, people were like, "Is this for detox? What is this for?" But yeah, that's my first product that I ever made, and it's basically like it's got your daily serving of apple cider vinegar, and then we have a couple different SKUs like one that has turmeric and black pepper in there. So it's like this, kind of
good
like
stuff.
Yeah, it's like all organic, really good stuff in there. We have another one with ginger and pineapple that's like really great for digestion and like gut detox. So so that's a great product line. And like I said, I mean, that was our first one. It's like that's the smallest of the three for us because it's not like as mainstream a function as like immune or energy, but we've had a really solid, consistent, returning consumer base for those products. So there's definitely demand for it.
Well, thank you then. And so I know you mentioned that you are in distribution channels such as retailers and also some of the big surfaces now in the pharmacy chains. But are you opening up to overseas? Because I mean, this show, for example, is worldwide. So are you entertaining potential in opening up in different countries and maybe other continents? And because I guarantee you, everything made in USA tends to thrive everywhere. And these types of products, more than ever, actually, there's a high demand. As a matter of fact, I was an organic expo overseas, and believe me, these people came from all over the world to display their stuff, and it was all pure, organic, and natural. And there were some the energy, formulas. There were like honeys. There were some foods. I mean, they had everything from cosmetic to food to beauty to you name it. Everything was there, and it's a big market, and there's a huge demand, elsewhere. So I'm just saying, what are your thoughts about expansion when it comes? I mean, again, you got to do one thing at a time, but.
So we're launching Canada this year, if that counts as foreign, but it's the first step.
It is.
Yeah, and it's it is a process. You got to do new labels and stuff like that, and then we've looked at UK, but I'm open to anything. I think we're pretty focused on building the market here right now, but where there's demand,
I think we got to talk. I think that you have other opportunities out there, but
yeah. All right, let's talk.
We'll talk offline. Yeah, but yeah, no, because I mean, there's new markets, emerging markets right now that are hot for anything that is organic, healthy, and especially made in the U.S. It's big.
No, I mean it's a worldwide global trend, or I shouldn't even use the word trend because it's like it's here to stay. And all the things you talked about with COVID and people being more aware or whatever, it's like this has been the way things have been going for basically 30 years, of like every day more people are invested and aware of like their overall health, whether that be like exercise, nutrition, sleep is a huge one. Sleep, everyone's starting to pay attention to their sleep now, which is great.
Everything
no phones
else
before bed, stuff like that. Like people are dialed into it now.
Well, it's funny because if you look at one thing is that in the past, our source of information was limited. Unless you go to the library and start doing your research, or you go to your doctor or maybe you have a problem, then you inquire. TV is not going to give you that. It wasn't part of the curriculum. It was not part of the programming. But with the internet, with the research, with the podcast, with the movement of that, we're now with the social media and different, influencers and things like that. And, the TikToks and the Instagrams and stuff, people are coming out, that have expertise and it's both sides of the spectrum. You got some for and against all kind of things, right? But at least the information is floating. People are getting it, good and bad. It is always your due diligence you have to do, right? It's up to us individually to kind of, take all that and mesh it out and see what's good and what's bad. Do your own, research, but at least it's available and it gives you the guidance. You see something, it gives you the prompt to actually look for it. And now you start researching and then you find if it's good and you find merits to it, you move on with it. If not, why not? Podcast is another one. I mean, it's been known now, and then actually the most trendy piece where people actually getting their resources now through podcasting, and that's even advertisers now are tending to go to the podcasters because that's the new anybody professional now and stuff. They usually go to that to actually get their resource and the real stuff, because you get some real professionals that probably not going to be on your mainstream. We're not knocking down the media here, but the idea is that just different programming concept here is a little bit more open. And so you have more of that opportunity because a lot of people may not have made it there. And now you have that chance. And it makes a difference. So again, I think you're doing terrific, man, with all these concepts. And I know you're going to improve on more and you're going to create some more stuff out there as the need is always going to be there. And like I said, you have plenty of shot there. And, I keep using the word. It's in my mind. Like it has to.
It's at the top of your head.
I know.
It's hard not to do the double.
You got to take the shot with your shot. It's like Ethan's eating, right? So, that's funny. But
I do it all the time.
You got to have fun, right? But that's the other thing. You love what you do. You're in business, and I love you going. That's the other thing. I mean, you are an active, founder or CEO. You're out there. I mean, you're taking the time to be on podcasts and sharing the value. That's the other way to actually how to promote. There's many ways to market your brand, but people don't always know your brand unless they see it. And the more you're out there, and there are ways to do this, and this is a good way. And I appreciate the time and even you being with me on the show here and sharing your value. And that's important because I try to bring as much, enlightenment and education, and inspiration and motivation to our audiences. That's our mission. Yeah. And I think we've fulfilled that today with this show. So what would you tell people? We're coming to the end of the show. So what would you tell our audiences, about just their health and how you can benefit them, or any advice in general that you want to give?
Yeah, I mean, we've bounced around a lot, whether it's business or nutrition. I guess the two things that we've said that I would just recap is, going back to the at the top of the show, just talking about starting something. There's a couple of really good lessons in there that we ended up talking about. I thought we were going to talk more nutrition, but I like talking about that stuff. But it's like,
we're not done. We can talk.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, I think the things are, if you're thinking about starting something, start. And until you hear something that tells you that you can't do it, then there's always another step to be taken. And even if someone says, this can't be done because X, Y, or Z, there's always a lateral move as well. So it's like, there's nothing insurmountable, basically. And then on the nutrition thing, I've been kind of like, I've done a few podcasts recently, and I've been kind of leaving with this just because I'm really like tuned into it right now. and I mentioned it a couple times, is like label claims. Like, be careful with label claims, and find the brands that you trust and buy their products. And we talked about doing your own research, and I get that it's like exhausting to be a consumer nowadays. Just going Instagram, you get 50 different ads. This is good. Then you get one that says that's bad or whatever. It's like there's so much information. But there are a lot of great brands out there that are like us. They're trying to create something that they will give to their friends and family and mothers and eat or drink themselves. It's like there are good products out there. So find those ones. And I got a bunch that I love. So, and the brands you trust are the ones that are, delivering the products that you should be taking.
Well, Ethan, thank you for that. And I know we come into the end of the show, but we still, I'm just more concerned about your time, not mine. I'm good. But so this part about the labels, I think that's a big deal, because to your point, anyone can claim anything on any label, because you can print that up and put it there. Not everybody's going to take it to the lab and analyze it and say, like, is this exactly what's in this? And that's important. So the trust factor is important. And you're right. I mean, if you're not willing to give that to your family and to yourself and to your kids and then maybe that's not a good product, right? And that's a big
and
deal.
There are a lot of products out there that people make that they wouldn't want their kids taking, right? Or whatever. And so,
well, again, it's not always about business. It's also about, the mission. And I think you have that from the get-go. That was your intent. The intent from the beginning was to do something righteous and a product that works for you and why not make it a business and share with the public and the world. Yeah. And you did. And that's important. So thank you for bringing that, because that's a big piece. And at the end of the day, we are about health, wellness, and really just sharing value with people. And I think, that's important. I think your company is doing so. So now let's talk about where can people find, I know you mentioned briefly, but where can people get your access? I mean, your products online, and of course, whatever links you have, I can share as well on the description show.
Cool. Yeah. So I'll get you that. But online, obviously, our website is ethans.com, ETHANS. Shop on there. We're on Amazon. Those are our two primary online channels. And then as far as retail, just because everyone goes into CVS and Walgreens, we're in there. We sell our energy shots in the diet nutrition area, Whole Foods, Sprouts, some Albertsons, basically any natural food store. For sure. And then a decent amount of Kroger's and Albertsons and things like that. But online is probably the easiest.
I'm going to go grab me a couple just to test them.
I'll send you some.
To be honest with you, I mean, you got to love some good, element. And by the way, I'll give you a good example. Something that we didn't speak about is that, my kids, they will not take anything that is pills. They cannot do anything pills. So they need anything liquid. So something like this, you can't get an immune shot, or you don't want to do a shot. You don't want to literally type of, because they do have those. You don't want to do a gummy. You don't want to do something that you have to chew on. This is easy and it tastes good. It's got a good flavor. That makes sense. So some people actually have that trend. And frankly, I think all of us, if we can take our medicine, liquid format, it would be a lot easier than anything else. Totally. Nutrition is good. So especially something like this, you do it and it gives you your good, elements for the day. Why not? Yep. And so that's important. And knowing that it's natural also, or at least, it has pure organic stuff. That's also something big, of value, because you don't know what's in your stuff these days.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this is the last thing and then I'll let you go because I'm talking your ear off, but, the certified organic is a really important thing, and we kind of start to overlook it, and there's all sorts of natural products or whatever, but I have my issues with the organic certification stuff, but that is a trustworthy cert. And we put it right on the front of our bottles, actually we put it on our caps. You can probably see that right there, and
you can't miss that.
Yeah. Just to be hey, this has been vetted, all our ingredients are certified and legit. So I think, I'm a big proponent of organics personally.
Well, I think that's the trend. And, again, I mean, there's other products, and there was always a debate about between, is it really organic? Is there a difference? I mean, there have been studies and you got promotions from both sides, right? So again, there's always going to be two sides of the discussion, but I love what you did there. I mean, you actually have it there, you stand by it, and it's validated, and that's the bottom line. So people know to trust that, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so Ethan, thank you so much for being with me here today and for sharing all your stuff. This was a great, discussion. And I wish you the best, and continuous success with your brand and more. And like I said, I will test them, and they'll become part of my family too, because I always look for like the good stuff to use. And but that being said, folks, I hope you enjoyed this discussion, and we'll be talking soon. New day, new show, new guest, new topic. I'm Hurricane H. We'll be talking soon. Bye for now.